Very easy, very simple.
She got that sweet juice, Minute Maid, some of that lemon.
Apparently with this stuff, no need to remove rust before applying. So we're gonna put that to the test today on my CV axles and some of the other components on this truck that are just rusted from the factory. I really should have cleaned my CV axles when I installed the lift kit. I guess I just couldn't spend the extra 10 minutes painting that over. So POR-15's rust preventative as well as the top coat. According to POR-15, this stuff is pretty weak to UV. You have to put a top coat on. We got gloss black top coat to match most of the lift kit, and while we're at it, we are going to be top coating the lower control arms, possibly even the torsion bars and a few other components under here to just kind of make everything look shiny. And then we'll head over to the back where there's more rusted components. It's not too bad back here, but I think I'm gonna attempt to possibly paint the rear axle where the shock mount is. I think we're gonna try to paint that. We're gonna finesse it, and while we're at it, I think I'm gonna paint the bolts black too, so it all just kind of blends in and everything looks black. Oh, metal prep gets rid of surface rust. So we're gonna do the degreaser first. We just sprayed the degreaser all over the suspension. Dang, that degreaser worked really well. Look at that. I probably shouldn't have touched it. But now we're spraying the metal prep. One thing I was hesitant was, I'm spraying like this, I was worried about metal prep getting onto my powder coat. So I called POR-15 guys, and they said not to worry too much about it because you can consider this as a really powerful soap, and so it's only going to activate the parts that need to be activated, and it shouldn't be harmful to your powder coat per se. So if it is harmful, I'll let you guys know. I'll be the guinea pig, but right now I'm just kind of going by what they say. And they said, and also you want to keep this stuff wet, so you want to keep it wet for about 10 minutes. So that's why I'm just kind of spraying it, because you do not want this stuff to dry. Apparently in 10 minutes we will wash it off with water and then start applying the POR-15 rust resistant. But their degreaser works really well. Ten minutes later, we are going to rinse everything off with some cold water. Some people recommend using water and soap, but directions say just use water, so we're gonna go with the directions. The rust on the CV axles are actually like starting to dissolve, which is pretty cool. And POR-15 does have a chemical that does dissolve rust. I am intrigued to see how that works, especially for powder coating components like this right here. Some areas are rusted. For our next powder coating project, I think I'm going to order the POR-15 rust removal solvent, see how good it works. We have rinsed everything down on the truck. Now we just wait until all the components are completely dry. I would say best way to tell is everything under the truck is wet. So we're gonna wait until the driveway is dry. Probably wait about an hour to 2 hours. But once the driveway is completely dry, that is gonna be a very good indication that we may be ready to start applying our rust preventative.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push a mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work like I got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making
about to apply the POR-15 rust resistant. This stuff is really easy to apply, and the best part is it says apply over rust. So what we're gonna do is the CV axles, I did some prep work, but it's still rusty, and we're just gonna apply right over the rust, just like that. Now I'm gonna finish the rest while I'm not filming, but just to show you guys, it's very easy to apply. And the best part is that you brush it on, so you have a lot of control over where you are painting. So very minimal taping is required. I did tape up a little bit over there, and as I was painting I realized that wasn't really necessary, because as long as you have a small brush, a lot can be achieved with it. And so a little bit of this paint goes a long way. And one thing I've noticed is that, might be common sense, but the areas that were prepped with the cleaner and then the metal prep spray, this stuff sticks on way easier than the surfaces that weren't prepped. And I mean, obviously that's why they send it, but to see it actually work in real life is pretty cool. So this stuff, yeah, this stuff is really easy to apply. You sit here and just apply, listen to music, and just apply the stuff on there. Right here I applied a little too thick because I don't like the finish, so just take it down, make it even. Very easy, very simple, and so far it's looking great. One thing I would recommend for you guys to do that I did, or that I would recommend you guys to do, that I learned, is actually get a good brush, because this one's like $1 brush. Here's a little halftime update for y'all right here. Oh my god, this turned out so sick. That looks way better than how it was before. And also, do not get that stuff in your hair, or really anywhere, because it won't come off. And I have like this whole clump of my hair right here that I don't know what I'm supposed to do with. I went in there, washed my hair with dish soap, and that did not fix it. So I'm just gonna hope and pray that hot water and some shampoo later will get all that stuff out. But I guess my advice is wear a hat, okay? Because you never know when you're gonna bang your head on one of these components, because you don't want to get it in your hair, especially when your hair is semi-long-ish like mine. So yeah, lesson learned, wear a hat. Next day, this is the POR-15 rust preventative stuff. Now you could just use that stuff and call it a day. However, it is not UV protectant. So what that means, according to POR-15, is that you must apply top coat, because over time, being exposed to the sun, it will deteriorate this product. You put top coat on it to prevent it. Top coat is a must, especially for suspension, because you see a lot of the sun depending on like how it's parked. So to preserve this, we're going to finish with POR-15's the gloss black top coat. Looking back, I guess I could have gone with like their matte finished black coating, but I think gloss black would look really good, especially to accent the powder coat on the lift kit. Let's go ahead and get that started. Alright, so here is the finished product. We got everything painted with the base coat, or top coat as they call it. My goodness, everything is way shinier. We covered everything that was rusted, so the undercarriage looks way better. Just look at that compared to before. Yeah, that looks way better. Look at the lower control arms. I think I'm gonna redo the traction bar or the torsion bar real quick. But other than that, I mean, this stuff is very easy to apply. Looks really good. Here is the final verdict of POR-15. What I learned, and I guess some tips and tricks for you guys, is that with the rust preventative stuff, do thin coats, because some areas I definitely did thick coats, and this stuff I think works better if you do multiple layers of thin coats. At times I got a little impatient, so I was doing thick coats, and so you can tell that there's some runs like right there. A few other spots do have runs from where I got impatient, and I just kind of like put a big blob of the stuff and I just started painting around it. Even with top coating, it works really well if you do thin coats as well. It turns out even better with thin coats. And also use a good brush. I learned this the hard way. I started out using cheap dollar brush from Home Depot, and the hair was getting stuck, and I would have to brush it 7-8 times just to get the hair out, or I would have to use my fingers the hair out, and it would just leave a mess. My fingers would get covered, and it was a game changer once I started using this brush. Also, the chemical stripper, it works wonders. Some areas I didn't spray enough, but you could see the rust actually like starting to dissolve a little bit. By the time you were ready to start applying this stuff, the surface that was rusted looked way better. It actually looked like it was ready for you to start applying. And obviously it would be much easier if you put your truck on jack stands and remove the wheels, and well, actually remove the CV axles and just remove all these components to do it. But with this one, I'm on a time crunch for a show. I don't have time to disassemble. Definitely don't have the time to take this for another alignment because most shops are booked. Removing all the components was really not an option, but also I wanted to do it this way to show you guys that as long as you tape stuff up, you can use POR-15 while everything is attached. Honestly, like I started taping this up, and you really don't even need to tape anything off as long as you got a nice brush and you can control it. That's the beauty of this product, is that it's super easy to use. It's way easier than using spray paint, and using the brush, it applies really well. But the undercoating, oh my god, this actually looks brand new. Actually looks better than brand new. This is how GM should assemble these trucks. I feel like they need to have an agreement with POR-15 where they spray all their components, control arms, torsion bars, everything with POR-15 from the factory, because when you spend $80,000 on a truck, I expect the truck to look like this, but in reality it's not. The sad truth is that the moment you get the truck, you're gonna get rusted spots like that. This truck, even though it's a 2020, there were a lot of rusted areas under the truck that I definitely did not want to have, especially if I was gonna take this to a show. So all in all, I highly recommend it. It was super easy to use. It was my first time doing it, so it probably wasn't the best job, but I learned a lot from this session. The next time I use this product, it'll be a lot better. One thing I did forget to mention is do not paint out of the can. Like, do not use the can and start painting with the can open, because the way the stuff dries is a lot different than your conventional paint. It actually dries better when it's humid. You want to pour the amount that you want to use in a separate cup, and then close the lid as soon as possible, because you do not want that stuff to be exposed to humidity for a long time, because then it'll start to activate inside the can and you'll waste a whole can of POR-15. I think it turned out really good, and it was very easy to use, and I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10.